Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. Today we're discussing one of my favorite watch launches of the last 10 years and one of the watches I could most easily see myself buying and owning. A 2018 launch in steel and a 100-piece limited edition. This is the Montblanc 1858 Monopusher Chronograph, a watch that hails from the elite branch of Montblanc watchmaking, which we'll discuss in a moment. But first, the dimensions. Whereas previous Minerva Villeret Montblanc watches featured pocket watch-sized chronograph calibers, this one uses caliber 1321 that is sized for a smaller wristwatch application. So whereas those previous watches were huge, this one is only 40 millimeters in diameter, 12.6 millimeters thick, and 49.9 from lug tip to lug tip with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it wears beautifully. It would fit on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. I got a little bit of clearance on either side, and I'm pulling the strap pretty tight. It's flat enough with a sloped flank to slide underneath a dress cuff, including a shirt sleeve, and you can see from over the top the lugs are not out over the edge of my wrist, though at 49.9 millimeters they are broad for a 40 millimeter watch. The strap features a simple steel Montblanc branded pin buckle, and then a high-grade strap featuring large rectangular scale alligator leather in green on the top and small round scale alligator leather on the bottom. You could see Montblanc factory strap, no crimping, no gouging. The reason for using gator on both sides is that it makes for a more expensive but also much longer lasting, more durable, more premium strap. De Bethune, Journe, Vacheron, Louis Lee Chopard, many different super high-end brands are using the double gator today, and so this feels right at home. We have a contrasting stitch, though, which gives it a little bit of an air de famille with pilot's watch designs. And you can see there is some bolstering or stuffing to give it volume, a sheer cut side with green lacquering for refinement. And to prevent any impediment to the motion of the strap, curved spring bars are used. The case is elegant with polished bevels that expand over the edges of the lugs. You can see there's a sort of circular satination on the top of the lugs and then longitudinal on the flanks. The bezel slightly stepped in from the case band, then it has a vertical polished lip and then a satin finished conical profile before it terminates in a dramatically boxed sapphire that's designed to look like a vintage plexi. Of course, Montblanc, inspired by the peak of the same name. You've got the little snow-capped peak on the crown, and then a beautiful and nuanced little chronograph monopusher with facets that are alternately polished and satinated. Now, Montblanc started making watches in earnest in 1997, and it has two manufacturers today. Lellouche, which is capable of making over 100,000 watches a year, that's the mass production. And then there's Villeret, which used to be Minerva, an independent brand once upon a time. Well, in the 2000s, Richemont bought Minerva, and I think everyone expected the worst when Minerva was assigned to Montblanc. At the time, a lot of people thought that Montblanc was basically a branding effort in the watch space, and it was essentially a pen manufacturer trying to branch out into places it didn't belong. A lot of folks assumed it would be subsumed, basically like Lemagne became Breguet and Frédéric Piguet became Blancpain. But far from it, Montblanc preserved Minerva as a standalone name brand, which is why you have both Minerva as a logo and MB on the dial. And then on the reverse, you see it says Minerva Villeret. Now, whereas Lellouche can make over 100,000 watches a year, Villeret is under 1,000, so only a few hundred of these super haute de gamme movements are made each year from that elite cadre within Montblanc. The dial is beautiful. It's a green dial from before green was cool back in 2018, and it's a gradient dial from back before that was cool. So it's sort of silver green at the center and then very dark forest green at the edge. We have cathedral-style hands, white varnished secondary hands, and a little bit of a Fotina look, which I can take or leave, but if it's a attractive complementary color, and it is with this green, then I'm all for it. Plus, the watch glows like a torch, and you might not expect, but this is steel, 100 meters water resistant, and very well loomed. This is actually a sports watch. Put it on a different strap, and you can swim with it. Column wheel feel is, in a word, awesome. Turning it all over, you can see that caliber 1321. Manual wind, 55-hour power reserve. You can see the column wheel and the lateral clutch. The column wheel feel is otherworldly. I would say it's better than a dotograph. For refinement and sharpness, yeah. 2.5 hertz beat rate, a big slow beating balance, 22 joules, and you can see that an overcoil hairspring is used for concentric breathing, or that consistent timekeeping, if you will, in every physical orientation with respect to gravity. You can see that big slow chugging, 2.5 hertz beat rate, chronograph seconds hand. This is a semi-instantaneous jumping minute, and the decoration is second to none. Look at the interior angles, 3 of them on this chronograph bridge. Look how broad the bevels are, mirrored, rounded, finished by hand. Take a look at this mirror-polished swan's neck regulator on the balance cock. Take a look at these polished screw heads with chamfered slots and circumference. Take a look at these chronograph components, which have been satin finished on their tops and then mirror beveled on their sides. Look at the solarization of the ratchet wheel underneath. And then look at the micro beveling of the teeth of the ratchet wheel and the crown wheel. By the way, the crown wheel also solarized, though you can't see it too well. All of the jewel sinks internally beveled. This is as good as it gets. Look at that little Minerva arrow index on the chronograph assembly. It's almost like a devil's tail. And if you look carefully, you could see the bevels on that have been drawn to 3 sharp points. Incredibly difficult to do, all the more so on a steel component that small. And then look at the root of it. You can see that there's an interior angle on each side. In a word, awesome. This is, I would say, somewhere between Patek and Romain Gaultier in total quality. And by Romain Gaultier, I mean his traditional watches, not the sports watches. This is just about as good as it gets in the world of chronograph finish, defining the upper limit of what's possible. There's even a little bit of engine turning on the base plate. They overlook nothing. If you love fine watchmaking, batter up. This is as good as it gets. You may wonder, what does this 500 hour mean? Well, it means that the watch was tested, fully assembled for 500 hours. So there is some sort of vetting and durability testing, although Montblanc is cryptic about exactly what kind of chronometric standards are involved. So I don't talk too much about the Montblanc test other than to acknowledge that it is a 500-hour functional test for general durability and running. So reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. Oh, and if you're new to tachymetric scales, some people ask, when you start the chronograph, the idea is you start it when a speeding reference begins a kilometer, and then when it finishes the kilometer, let's say a racing airplane finishes the kilometer, you stop the chronograph, you look at the number adjacent to the hand, and that's how many kilometers per hour it would have been traveling. I could just play with this column wheel all day long. It's that good. Reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.